Okay, welcome again. Namaste, everyone. This morning, some of you are joining from our last session, from our last moment about Ayurvedic Dinacharya, and some of you are just hopping on now for the morning meditation. So we will have these meditations every morning from 7:30 until 8. It takes me a couple minutes to switch between spaces and for us to come into that. So welcome to each and every one of you. And I really suggest, as I'm doing here, for you to find a comfortable seated position. So whatever it might be for you, I've got a nice big cushion underneath, or if you want to sit on a couch or on a chair, really just finding a place where the body can be still and where you can take this time of about 20 minutes, 25 minutes to just come into profound stillness. So whatever will allow for that, if you need to use an extra cushion or two under the feet or under the bum, wherever is needed. Okay, so welcome. I see many hopping on. Let's just wait another couple minutes for everyone to find their way. In many ways, this is so beautiful that we can meet in this way. We just turn on Facebook or Instagram and we find our way here together. But I also know that for myself, it requires some technical hurdles to really allow us to be here. And I hope it's okay as I'm on both at the same time that you still feel an intimacy with me. I may be gazing to one device or another so that everyone really feels I'm here with you entirely. Oh, so beautiful to see so many of you from around the world. There, maybe that's a bit better. Then it's like I'm with everyone. So yes, seeing people from around the world. Some of you are hopping on. It is your morning time. As you can see here, the morning is just arising here now. This is such a beautiful, energetic time. And for some of you, I know you're also joining. I have some dear ones who had said they're joining in from India or from Australia, from Spain, from all around the world, and really sending blessings and love to everyone. I know that in some of these countries, your situations have recently changed. And so really welcoming you if you're in quarantine or you're in isolation to enjoy these times together as we come together as Sangha. Welcome, beautiful to see so many of you. Okay, so this morning's meditation will carry forward from yesterday. Yesterday, we allowed our sits, our meditations, to really be intimacy with the breath, which, as I mentioned yesterday, it's such a simple yet profound technique. And more than that, it's beyond being a technique, it's a simple and profound recognition, a simple and yet very profound revelation to come to our breath as life and to come to our breath with freshness. Again, not to be entitled that, yeah, I'm entitled to each and every breath, or to be assumptive that we just continue to breathe and that's our entitlement in this body and in this earth. So to really come in intimacy with each and every breath means to come in intimacy with life itself and to have a true recognition of the power of being alive. So we started with that yesterday, and today we're going to move to a technique of meditation that still anchors in the breath, but in a different way. And so where we're going to be anchoring today is in the sandhis, the spaces between the breath. And as I'm saying that, you might be saying, where do you mean? After I inhale and exhale, I create a pause, I create a space, or what's meant by that? Well, what's meant by that is that there is, of course, a turning point after the inhalation before it becomes the exhalation. And similarly, there's a turning point after the exhalation before it becomes the inhalation. And these turning points are what are called sandhis. They're little gaps, little hiatus, little spaces, a natural pause that happens. And those pauses, if we start to become aware of them, if we start to become present to these little spaces, what they do is they invite us into a great spaciousness. They invite us into infinity. They invite us into a timeless presence. And as we start to anchor to them, what they also do is they start to anchor our mind into this spaciousness. So there's so much more that could actually be said about this, but rather than saying more about it, let's experience together. Let's have a time of sit together in this way. I would love to read to you again today from the Radiant Sutras. The Vijnana Bhairava Tantra is a beautiful ancient tantric text. And the Radiant Sutras is a very poetic and beautiful translation of the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, written by Lauren Roche, or let's say channeled by Lauren Roche. And the way he's translated the sutras is so beautiful and touching. And so, I'm going to be reading sometimes from this over the next weeks, as it points to some of these meditation techniques, as it points to some of these awarenesses. And so this awareness of the pause, of the space, of the gap in between is explicitly offered as one of the 112 pointers to self-realization, and one of the 112 pointers to being as meditation that's found here. So let me read this. Maybe close the eyes and receive its wisdom. Enter these turning points where the rhythms of life transform into each other. Breath flows in, filling. In this moment, drink eternity. Breath flows out, emptying, offering itself to infinity. Cherishing these moments, mind dissolves into heart. Heart dissolves into space. Body becomes a vibrating field, pulsating between fullness and emptiness. And it goes on to offer. At the end of the exhale, breath surrenders to quietude. For a moment, you hang in the balance, suspended, in the fertile spaciousness that is the source of breath. At the end of the inhale, filled with the song of the breath, there is a moment where you are simply holding the tender mystery. In these interludes, experience opens into exquisite vastness, with no beginning and no end. Embrace this infinity without reservation. You are its vessel. At the end of the exhale, breath surrenders to quietude. At the end of the inhale, there is a moment where you are simply holding the tender mystery. So this really points to the eternity, the infinity, the pause into timeless presence that is intimately known through what is always occurring, the breath and those turning points. What's so beautiful about this recognition in formal seated meditation is that it can be then carried into the rest of our day, because the breath never leaves us. So you can be at any time in your day with the breath, and you can also be at any time in your day with those spaces, with those pauses between the breaths. So let's come for our remaining time to sit. Again, if you're not already in a comfortable position, find one. And let's begin. Let the eyes come to be closed. And let there be a softening down through the whole body. Feel the spine alert and long, and yet a relaxed presence. And then gently start to allow the attention to anchor into the breath, incoming and outgoing. Don't try to change the breath in any way, to modify it. Just be with it as it is. And then gently start to bring the attention to those turning points. that slight pause after the inhalation and the slight pause after the exhalation. And if by bringing the attention there, you feel welcomed to rest for a little bit longer in this space, for it to be elongated slightly, then allow that to occur. Half a second of resting, suspended in this spacious timelessness. Let there be this sense of diving into the sandhis, into those gaps. And if at any moment there is the old tired tendency of going off into story, getting identified with mind, with thoughts, then don't try to do anything. Don't have aversion to that. Don't try to push it away or make it be different. Instead, just bring the attention back to what's true, what's here, what's real. The breath and the space between. Let there be this soft vigilance, a commitment to be here completely in and as life, not in the mind stories. Diving in deeper and deeper into these spaces between. Get lost in the profundity of yourself. And there we remain. you seated right now. If there's been a drifting off into identification with thoughts, with mind, come back for these last couple minutes. Settle into the silence. Retreat into the self. Let there be that soft vigilance to stay anchored to those spaces between the breaths, tasting infinity, eternity. Stay settled for another couple moments. Really, as we conclude the seated practice, allowing these couple moments to really allow it to translate into the next step of our day. So moving with a slow, steadied presence. And continuing to stay intimate with those pauses between the breaths. To stay infinite with this very moment. Intimate and feeling into the infinity. And you might allow the body to start to move slightly. And even as there's movement, or as we gently begin to open the eyes, staying anchored to the breath, to that soft presence, no difference. Meditation is not found in the formality of sitting with the eyes closed or in the technique, but rather in the ever-present connection to life now. So stay there. We will meet again this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for those of you who would like to again sit. And now we'll take a couple minutes to set up our mats for those of you who would like to continue with the Vichara Yoga practice, our Hatha Yoga session. So take a couple moments to set yourself up for that, and then we'll meet together. Okay, have a beautiful day, everyone. Those of you who are going on with your day, blessings to each and every one of you. Namaste.